eventually you get absorbed in, and you are Sonic.
What's up, everybody? I'm Taylor Olmstead, and I want to welcome you back to No Repeat, a podcast where we pick 3 songs every week to transport you to mystical lands on a magical playlist for every quest that life takes you on. Joining me are my co-hosts, co-adventurers, co-travelers, Tyler Reed.
Yo, I'm a level 37 halfling druid named Stephen Whistlebottom, and my pet acorn and I go on many magical adventures. Hey, everyone.
And Sean Evans.
So I guess I need to do, like, whatever my dungeon...
You can do whatever you want.
Oh, okay.
I was just following Taylor's energy.
Okay. Well, I'm Doc Ward... Oh, my God. Can we start over?
And Sean Evans.
And I'm Dark Ward. Okay, one more time.
And Sean Evans.
And I am Dark Lord Leafton, King of the Teas.
Oh, that's fun.
That was really hard to say. That's why I kept messing it up, because Dark Lord Leafton...
You picked the hardest character name possible.
Oh, God.
Folks, it's time to roll for some initiative because we have a fantasy challenge this week from our own Tyler Reed. Tyler, what was the challenge that you came up with?
Well, obviously Taylor read this challenge in a very specific way that was maybe not exactly as I had intended, but this week we're challenged to find the perfect song for beckoning woodland animal.
You're absolutely right, Tyler. I did immediately go into the fantasy lands with this one because when you're beckoning woodland animals, it feels like you have to be in some kind of fantasy text, in my mind.
Sure. I mean, to be...
It feels very Snow White. It feels very, like, fey creatures, Dungeons and Dragons-y, like, maybe a little Lord of the Rings-y, although there's not a lot of creature beckoning, at least not woodland creatures. And so I really wanted to kind of capitalize on that momentum. I wanted to go into a place that had elements of the fantastical, and the way that I did that was honestly by going back to one of my favorite genres that I haven't spent a lot of time with in a while, psychedelia. I was looking at some psychedelic folk, some psych rock, some prog rock, a little bit of 60s and 70s stuff, a little bit of contemporary stuff, because I feel like there's something about a good, like, psychedelic folk or even like a prog folk mashup that can really bring out the, like, spirit of the forest within you. I realize that sounds totally ridiculous, but it's the kind of music that when you listen to it, you feel like you should be, like, taking a hike and you, like, stumble upon a wooded grove and, like, idyllic little creatures are around and you feel at one with nature and the world and Mother Earth and Gaia and all that nonsense. And so that's kind of what I was going for. I wanted that transcendent psychedelic forest experience this week, which somehow also kind of got vaguely fantasy world D&D-y for me. I don't know why. That's just where my head was. What did you guys do?
Just want to say that's an incredible offshoot because, like, I feel like I'm usually the person who, like, takes an idea and really runs with it and really, like, takes it into a place that's, like, maybe not as per the challenge fully, but I feel like that's a very fun interpretation of that. I think what I was thinking about was, I was literally thinking of, like, Snow White literally beckoning animals, and I was thinking about what kind of song would beckon them in, like, a contemporary or modern era. And so I was thinking about a song that had, like, a strong vocal performance that really carried the song with, like, some light, like, musical, like, some, like, background accompaniment that adds to the song but doesn't feel like it is crucial to appreciating what's happening in the song. So I was really kind of going for that. I was kind of thinking about, like, what would be like a whimsical sort of carefree song that someone could sing to sort of, you know, just kind of bring the animals around. Like, almost more like, oh, just by happen chance, I was singing just sort of like a fun song that I sort of made up on the spot, and the animals just happened to come by. So that was kind of the vibe that I was going for and what I sort of, like, drew inspiration from.
Sean, what about you? How are you beckoning the woodland creatures?
My vibe was a little bit heavier.
I don't want to say as per usual, but I feel like that remains
He's been in that
consistent.
place recently.
I have a different. I think after talking over this with my wife, I think I have a little bit of a different kind of beckoning.
Sure. I can already kind of tell what you're thinking about in my mind, and I'm excited to hear you say it.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think that there were two sorts of beckoning that happen. There's like the Webster's dictionary, get down low and kind of whisper and like, come on, little friend. And then there was another kind that was like, charge.
It's a little more forceful, yeah.
Come forth, power! Come, my steed! Ride with me!
It's the difference between beckoning like a family of bunny rabbits and a pack of wolves.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's for sure. Switchblade wielding otters is actually what I would be beckoning with my song. Not to let switchblade
battle otters
wielding otters out of the bag, but
that's fair. I feel like that's a good maybe addition to the preamble here is what animals you would be beckoning. For me, I was really thinking like birds and small ground mammals on this one. I'm thinking like birds and squirrels and rabbits. Truly very Snow White in the house cleaning scene, other than the deer that randomly shows up and like gets tangled up in things. If I remember that scene correctly, it's been a while. But I'm thinking very much like the small animals. That was kind of what I was after. But who were you beckoning with your songs this week?
All the animals.
It
was basically like a call to arms, kind of.
Oh, so this is like the animals get back at us for global warming type of beckoning.
No, this is like let's protect our homes kind of thing. Like the bulldozers are coming.
Okay, so very like eco-terrorist Captain Planet.
No. Eco-terrorists, it's going right to there. We're going right to conserving the environment, eco-terrorism, apparently to Taylor Olmsted, one and the same.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I'm imagining an incarnation of Captain Planet who will do whatever is necessary to save the planet.
I mean, you could also say like the Studio Ghibli film Pompoko, in which the Tanuki defend their home from building up of like a shopping mall or whatever in Japan.
Exactly. The new apartment complex and apartment homes, shopping malls. Yes, exactly. That's probably closer than the eco-terrorists that Taylor so wants to have. I guess, I don't know.
I'm just saying, The Overstory by Richard Powers is a really excellent novel that is about trees until it's about eco-terrorists, and I highly recommend it. Tyler, who were you beckoning?
Since you kind of already sniped the traditional suggestion, I would say, well, what if I just like kind of going along with the theme of sort of like a contemporary version of Snow White? I would say I would probably be beckoning like the sort of the meme animals. So like the trash gang, so like a cat, like a possum, a raccoon, just like any of the really kind of like ugly animals that people think are cute. Like especially like I think it's a lot of possums. It's a lot of possums actually, and I'm gonna give them flower crowns.
This is suddenly feeling like the Roadkill Orchestra.
Like the what?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Like these are all animals that you would encounter in a area developed by humans, not necessarily in the woodland. Like I'm imagining you're on like the outskirts of town beckoning these creatures out of the woods.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like deep in the forest in like a secluded glade.
You really put some time into this one, didn't you? You really shone this one, didn't you?
I did. I don't know. There was something about this challenge that really got my imagination going and took me back to a place.
It's not what I would have guessed. That this is what Taylor would have built the rich narrative fiction for.
Well, then why don't I just go first?
Yeah, go ahead, please. I'm exhilarated to hear this.
This week I chose Are You Sitting Comfortably by the Moody Blues.
On a crystal sea, are you sitting comfortably? Let Berlin
So Are You Sitting Comfortably is off of the Moody Blues' album On the Threshold of a Dream. It followed their massive psychedelic success In Search of the Lost Chord, which is a lot heavier. This album's a little bit softer, though it's the Moody Blues, so it's still psychedelic. But this track is the token Arthurian legend ballad that every album between 1968 and 1975 had to have for some reason. I don't know. It's literally about King Arthur and Merlin and Guinevere and all of them. But the thing that I really enjoy about it, and I was specifically picking the BBC Sessions version of it, is the mix of real woodwinds and mellotron, which is an early form of a synthesizer that was really popular in the late 60s and early 70s. It's the sound you hear on the song Strawberry Fields Forever. That's probably the most famous example of a mellotron. And there's something about it that just has this like very earthy psychedelia to it that feels like wandering through a forest that I really enjoy. And especially in this BBC Sessions version where you have the warmth of all of it being in the same room at the same time, and the rattle of the tambourine and the little bit of echo on the guitars, it just feels so warm and lush. It feels like, walking through the forest and taking a break to sit down in a clearing and the animals just come out to you. It's like that scene in Stand By Me where Gordy wakes up in the morning and sees the deer and he keeps it a secret and doesn't tell any of the other kids. Like, that's what this song kind of like brings out in me. And it being about King Arthur and all of that stuff, like, yeah, I guess it kind of fits, but I don't really care about the lyrics. I really just care about the vibe and the mood. And I think the vocal performance is so kind of ethereal and wispy that it almost doesn't matter what it's about. Like, it kind of feels like somebody telling you a campfire story while you're falling asleep. The words don't matter. It's just the sound of the voice. I don't know. I found it incredibly pleasing and a little bit psychedelic. Like, you could probably take some substances and wander through the woods to this song and have a really good time.
All right.
So yeah, that's why I picked it.
I don't know what I thought the Moody Blues was, but it wasn't this.
They do not normally sound like this. They are normally a heavier psychedelic rock band. This is truly like a mid-album ballad.
Okay. All right, because I feel like my dad specifically likes this band. If I recall, like I'm reaching the back of my mind to him referencing this band, and for some reason
So part of the reason I picked the BBC Sessions version as well is that this album was right around the time that crossfading was first like discovered as a technology. And so every track on this album crossfades into the others. And there's a super heavy psychedelic blues track right before this that like fades in super loud on the album version. So I had to like get the isolated cut of it.
I love that. but yeah, so, I mean, I feel like I almost kind of like this better than, like, Misty Mountain Hop, because I feel like that song is just really, like, kind of on the nose. Like, it's very, like, you can hear, like, all of the words, like, very clearly. And it's, like, they kind of play with, like, the imagery, like, a little bit. Like, I feel like they don't take, like, the Lord of the Rings, like storyline, like, beat by beat. And I feel like using something more Arthurian is a little more, like, you can kind of play with it a little bit more. But, like, almost, I distinctly remember the first time listening to this sitting down today, and I was like, this sounds really mystical. I was like, they're talking about some...
I told you I was in a Dungeons and Dragons place.
Yeah, I'm like, they're gonna be there. I bet they're talking about some wizard stuff. And boy, I was right. I was absolutely right. I could just tell. But you're right. That the echo. I didn't really pick up on that, but the echo really makes a big difference because I feel like there's something about like a woods that like there's something about the dissipation of sound and sort of feels like it kind of can go on forever in a way. It goes forever and nowhere at the same time. And I feel like that's really creates like a sort of like lost woods kind of vibe that's really nice. And basically, like you already said, I think all the sounds are really great, like the tambourine, the flute, and like the soft, like kind of like plucked guitar, also incredible. I think it absolutely establishes like a tone and a mood. And I can't imagine, as you said, that this is kind of like the midpoint of this album. I don't know what's gonna come after this song. Like I have no idea. But no, this is really cool. It's not what I expected for this challenge at all. But like I think it works. I think it's fine. I think it's a good pick. I really appreciate this introduction to this band too. Now I have to actually listen to them.
This is a great song to softly beckon animals to. it's the flute that really pulls it together. This is not something that will end up on any of my playlists. But I think it fits the challenge perfectly. Not adequately, perfectly. For a soft, gentle beckoning. And I could see, this is what I mean. Like, I kind of had a little bit of crisis when I picked my song and I was listening to yours. I was like, oh man, I might have missed the mark on this one. And that's why I started talking to Sarah, and she was like, Enya, just pick Enya. Anything that Enya makes.
Ooh,
yes!
Enya.
Will be like perfect for this. And then she started playing it, and I was like,
Who can say where
oh my god. But basically, I mean, I think that's what makes it like, that's what I think makes this song a wonderful pick for this challenge, is that it's nice and soft, it's gentle, it's definitely of some sort of enchantment. It's growing on me a little bit the more that I listen to it. It's not something that I'll go back to it and listen, because I think now that I'm older, seeing these like fantasy ballads as astutely as you observed, Taylor, they don't really win for me anymore. I'm kind of get completely lost in them. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know, maybe my imagination's gone or something. But like, but I think that's beckoning animals in that way is particularly magical. Like, I don't know, there's like something that like when I paint the scene for this, it's really nice. There's some dew on the forest floor. The animals are waking up. The sun's rising. There's like a nice warmth that's coming around, and there's probably a platter of some sort of foliage and fatty nuts there for animals to probably snack on. Just a snack. It's great.
It's the mid-morning, and yet you somehow have a goblet of wine and a charcuterie on a silver tray.
Yes!
Oh, you don't want to eat charcuterie in front of woodland animals. That's gonna scare them off.
No, that's gonna give them really bad diarrhea.
That's fair. Maybe you just have like a loaf of bread and a goblet of wine. I don't know.
Listen, we don't. This is a fantasy. You can make it whatever you want.
That's right.
Just wait till we get to Tyler's, because his charcuterie board is probably like
PBR.
A used coffee filter, you know.
A bag of expired pizza rolls.
Right, that's exactly, some condom wrappers.
Oh.
Before we move on to Tyler's, I did just want to let Tyler know, because he asked, he was wondering what on earth this could possibly fade into. The answer is a 59-second psychedelic spoken word montage about dreaming, because it was 1969, and that's how you get out of a ballad in 1969.
When the white eagle of the north is flying overhead, and the browns, reds, and golds of autumn lie in the gutter.
I'm not saying this song is perfect, but it definitely is a moment in time.
Oh, how did you not pick this for your song?
There's probably a lot of people that are on drugs listening to this, and I can only imagine a sharp decline in enjoyment at this point.
That's terrible.
It's okay. Right after this, there's a 9-ish minute jam, basically, for the rest of the record, so...
Oh, God.
Great.
I'm telling you, the late 60s were a wild time.
That's for sure.
But yeah, I really went into that place, which makes your picks seem more straightforward in comparison. Tyler, what did you have for us?
This week I chose Fidelity by Regina Spektor.
All this music, and it breaks my heart, and it breaks my heart, and it breaks my heart. When it breaks my heart. Suppose I never ever met you. Suppose we never fell in love.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I distinctly remember hearing the song waking up early in the early 2000s and just waking up and being like, oh man, this song is great. What a beautiful angel voice. And so I chose the song mostly because, like I said, kind of in my preamble, that I kind of was looking for a vocal forward song that had at least some like instrumentation in the background that, you know, enhanced but wasn't like a main part of the song. And I think this song absolutely does that. I think like the soft synths, the little bit of drums does just enough to kind of keep the song moving. Though like the piano hits right at the right times. You know, it's kind of soft and then kind of gets really staccato kind of during the but what I was thinking about was you know, I feel like Snow White sort of has like a very traditional way of singing, you know, very classical in its in her performance. But what I was thinking about is, you know, like in a more contemporary setting, I feel like Regina sort of uses like anti-folk sort of like in her like she like is like an anti-folk artist, and so she uses some of those tropes or some of those like tools to kind of make a really sort of like vocally engaging song where she has lots of sort of just like plays with just like sort of automatopoeia. You know, she kind of goes almost into like a character voice, just lots of sort of different playing with her voice in a really imaginative and really fun way that's very playful. And I can just imagine sort of like this person just swirling about as she's dancing with these possums and raccoons and just, you know, having a great time. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. I think this song is sick, and I think she's a great vocal, like contemporary vocal artist that I just really enjoy.
Regina Spektor is one of those artists that I hear a song and I think I need to spend more time with Regina Spektor, and then I kind of forget. And I don't know why, because I think everything you said is absolutely right. The thing that I think really draws me to her in particular is how effortless she makes everything sound. You know, a lot of our...
Yeah, that was important for me, too.
Yeah, absolutely, because Snow White, like you said, has this very, like, legato, classical singing style, at least the character in the Disney film. And so you want a vocal delivery that feels very, like, smooth and clean and effortless. And a lot of artists that work in this tradition, I'm thinking, like, your Fiona Apples, your Kate Nashes, they're trying really hard. And that's part of the appeal, is the like raw emotional energy. Regina Spektor is always kind of reserved. Like it kind of feels like she's given you like 60%, and she never really unleashes the full like range of her voice because she doesn't need to. And I think that's what really draws me to this song, is even in the instrumental, it's very fun and upbeat, but it kind of feels like it's holding itself back a little bit. Like it's taking it easy. It's not trying too hard. And I think, you know, the hypothetical woodland animals would be drawn to that. They don't want you running up after them. They want you just kind of like sitting in your chair on the porch, maybe holding out an acorn and just kind of like letting them come to you when they come to you. I feel like Regina is giving that energy. She's letting it happen. She doesn't need to make it happen.
Perfect explanation, Taylor. You know, I really come to the show every week and really just I pass the ball to Taylor, and he says, I'm going to go all the way home. Says what I can't say. Now, Sean, well, what do you have to say?
Say something good, Sean. Start with something good.
Oh no!
This is a interesting song to pick for summoning your suburban permanently outdoor cats.
Sure.
Regina Spektor, I feel, would be not all the way insulted by that, probably. But Sarah says that she thinks that Regina Spektor would like it.
Okay. Regina Spektor is definitely a cat person.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. But is she a possum person?
Maybe.
It's hard to tell.
My possum's... as long as the possum's name is Randy.
You know who's definitely a possum person? Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish is a possum person.
Oh, yeah. Oh, she's definitely... Billie Eilish is so a possum person. But that's only if her brother brings her possums, though.
Harsh but fair.
Okay. It's a weird statement, but okay.
I mean, I'm not... Let's talk about the challenge. And does it meet the requirements? Yes, it does.
Yes.
I think it's beautifully you and beautifully how you must feel towards suburban, permanently outside trash creatures. Doing the dirty work that Rumkey has yet to come and do. Thank you. And eating a hell of a lot of ticks, and that's good.
Important, because I don't want ticks.
Because Lyme disease is preventable and treatable, but also bad. But yeah, it's just a Regina Spektor song. It's nothing to write home about for me. I'm not a big fan of her. Initially, I knew of her before she did Orange Was the New Black, but that was kind of the song that when I first heard that and found that it was her, I went and listened to more of it, thinking that the rest of her music was going to be like that. And it's not. It's very singer-songwriter-y, almost like, yeah, it's like softer, a little bit more upbeat. It's kind of like a good, like, walking around, moving your shoulders kind of deal. And that's just not my thing.
No.
I need something different.
He needs the pain.
So
it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's totally fair. I mean, like, a lot of her other songs actually are super weird and kind of out there because she is sort of, in a way, an anti-folk artist, or does have sort of elements of that, where she just kind of does weird stuff just to kind of be weird.
Yeah.
And, like, plays with, like, sounds and stuff like that. And it's just kind of goofy. So, like, I can understand. I don't know. I just felt like she just had a voice that was just silky smooth enough and just a little weird enough to kind of, like, make it work.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I think that's why it's a good, like, soft summoning song. Because it's very much, it's approachable. It's good on a cloudy day. It's good on a sunny day. It's good in the evening. It's good at night. Good in the morning. It's good for lunch.
Do you like it in a boat? Yes, I like it in a boat.
Yeah, it's good on a train, on a plane.
When pizza's on a bagel, you can have pizza anytime.
Right. And maybe that's what offends me about it, is that it's not offensive. It's a great song for you, though. It's a great song for summoning animals, though.
It's a great song for me. Okay.
Well, okay, Sean. Show us how it's done then. Summon your animal army. What do you have here?
All right, so this week I chose Kicking Bird by Woven Hand. Actually, that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to go pick some other songs from some artists that this is not contemporary, but some artists that I haven't picked for this show before. I feel like I'm kind of getting in a rut a little bit sometimes, where I'm like, oh, I'm just picking the same person over and over or something along those lines. But actually, I was really torn. I thought I had like a few songs in mind when I started off this morning, and I was like, I'm going to put it in. But as I was running, I was listening to this album, and this song came on, and I was like, this is it. This is how I summon my animals. Because the summoning just to be clear, the summoning that I'm doing is not the, like, bend down on a knee and whisper, like, come here, come on. Mine is like if there was a superhero that was like Aquaman, but for the woods, I don't want to call it Woodsman. That's kind of what it would be.
I mean, it'd be like Paul Bunyan, essentially.
Yeah. This is like a running through the forest and like whipping the crowd up into a frenzy, like with both arms kind of summoning, you know? And like the deer come in, and then the mountain lions show up, and then there's like otters riding the mountain lions. And we're like going to save the forest, and we're summoning. I should say the relationship for this is already built. This is like, I'm not like the first time that we've met. This is a very much like,
you're a beast master.
Yeah, no, not even that. We're friends, but we go into battle together. It's like Braveheart, where they're all running down. It's exactly what it's like. Should I go on more, or you want to go?
I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I think this is not obviously what I was going for when we were talking about beckoning the woodland animals, but as soon as I heard it, I had the mental image that you're presenting. This is leading the forest creatures into battle right here. And the gang vocals, the mix of electric and acoustic guitars, the just raucous toms on this. I mean, toms for days. It feels like the war drum being just like beaten as fast as you possibly can. Even though the song isn't that fast, it gives the visual of like sprinting across the battlefield. I feel like it has a ton of energy. It has a wildness to it that fits the challenge. It definitely feels like a song of the wilderness. I'm into it. I don't know why I didn't ever really listen to Woven Hand, even though I know, like, I've known forever that you love them. I have never really gone back and listened.
To what you're saying, and to some of like what we were talking about on some other bands, with the exception of Regina Spektor, who basically what Tyler picked is, if you like that, you'll love the rest of her work. That's very much of her style, which I appreciate, because I feel like that's where Taylor and I might have gotten in trouble a little bit, is that not all of Woven Hand's songs are like this.
Interesting. Like,
this is very... it's not that they're not upbeat or something, but like this is like the punk version of Woven Hand. But they have there's a lot of the same elements that reemerge all the time. Like there's lots of percussion sounds, there's lots of like open tuning guitars and very like westerny sounding melodies and stuff. Like I think the guitar tuning that he has is, I've had some guitars that I put in it before, and like it's basically perfect. You just put your couple fingers on a couple particular frets and everything just sounds like amazing, and it doesn't matter what you do. It's great. So yeah, that said though, he does like a lot of folkier stuff, and he does a lot of things that are a little more like softer, a little bit more experimental. I don't know what you're sharing with me, but
so like the few songs I've heard of Woven Hand, I was also surprised at how aggressive this was, because if I recall, they were not anything like this, as you said. But I was kind of, I saw Woven Hand, I was like, oh, okay, well, I could maybe see like a sort of like, more of like a folk song, for maybe like a male perspective, because I do feel like I feel like the thought is maybe that like it has to be like only a woman can like beckon the animals, but I can also imagine like a sort of like a Father John Misty sort of like he can also sort of like bring the animals forth. Yeah, this is totally not the realm I would expect even a little bit when I submit this as an idea for a challenge, but I think, if anything, I can appreciate your ability to, like, stretch the idea to, like, a way. But actually, I'm proud of both of you for stretching the idea. Like, you like, yes-anded this challenge, which I feel like usually, like, I kind of do. So, I'm proud of both of you for that, for not taking the obvious approach. We're really kind of getting into this podcast almost 100 some odd episodes in. We're kind of really figuring out different ways of interpreting challenges. Anyway, I think this is really cool. I think my only like gripe about this song is that it sort of like ends really abruptly, which I'm sure means that there's probably like a transitional song, like nope, boom. Done. But yeah, I mean, what is I'm trying to describe what the sound is. It's sort of like a humming sound.
Yeah, there's a drone in there. I don't know if it's a bagpipe,
yeah,
or a synthesizer or what, but there's definitely a drone.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Like a.
Yeah, he does it. He has I think he has a series of loop pedals that he uses or like some sort of like synth pedal or something. You're right, because I watched a live performance, and it was, the reason I didn't post it too is because the live performance that I saw was very like hastily done on someone's iPhone probably, and it seemed like the song was in a different key too. It was quite strange. I don't remember them when I saw them. It was when they were on tour with this album, and they played it exactly how it is. So hearing it in a different key was a little weird for me. But I think that's like one thing about the one time that I've seen them, and it was this album and some of the previous other songs from albums before, was that they're definitely made to be played live. Like when you hear him on the recording, it's great and everything, but like he's a showman, he's a character, and he gives you your money's worth. That's for sure. It's really cool. So
is he Native American? Is that what this?
I don't know.
He is from Denver, Colorado. I don't believe he is Native American, no. I was doing some research into him. This is actually a side project.
Yes.
His main project is being the frontman of a band called 16 Horsepower, which is an alternative country group.
Okay.
All of his music invokes a lot of religious imagery.
Yeah.
I can't seem to find anything about, like, you know, his ethnic heritage or anything like that, but there's definitely some... Yeah, okay. Wikipedia says music contains elements of old-time, folk, punk, medieval, Native American music, gothic rock, etc.
Yeah.
So whether or not
really
he's
cool.
ethnically that, he definitely brings in those stylistic influences.
Sure. But I was just going to say that I think that's a really cool that you thought about that, because I do feel like there is sort of like a really interesting, like, sort of like, because I feel like a lot of Native American, like, folklore and stuff really is animal based, and I think that's really cool. I think to also sort of like, you're thinking about it more than just sort of like a sort of like, oh, I'm bringing them to me and I don't know them. You're like, no, this is me, like, calling upon, like, my animal. This is my steed, you know, like my trusted friend. And I feel like there's something about, like, really fun and to think about as, like, trusting the wilds, trusting nature and the animals of it, and, like, you know them almost. And I think that's really cool and really, like, a really kind of, like, different, like, angle to take this challenge. And I think it also really engages my creativity. I'm really, I feel like thinking about the song and hearing it, I'm really like, ooh, I can really do a lot of imagining with this, which I feel like both of you did a great job of doing. It's like finding a song that created a place. But yeah, the only other thing I had was just that there's a band called the Who, but they're like Mongolian throat singing, and that's kind of sick, and I feel like it's kind of like in the same sort of vibe that you have.
So there is a documentary that is made about David Eugene Edwards, who's the lead singer of and kind of the creator of Woven Hand. I just posted the link to Taylor and Tyler.
We'll put the link in show notes for folks.
Yeah, but it's really good. It kind of like goes into his personal life a little bit and talks about kind of his influences and shows some live performance and stuff. It made a big impact on me when I saw it and kind of explaining their music a little bit more. And granted, when I saw this, it was probably like 2 or 3 years after I had seen them live. But I think it's a fantastic watch just to kind of see who he is as an artist. That a lot of like, I don't think there's as many people that are as indie have as much exposure that he gets, that you kind of get to see this. Like, he's very upfront. So, all right, now it's time for notable B-sides. These were songs that were so close to being summoned to beckon, but weren't. Anybody got notable B-sides?
Boy, howdy do I. My nearest B-side was still psychedelic, but in a very different direction. Who Could Win a Rabbit by Animal Collective. One of the more accessible Animal Collective tracks, in my opinion. Also, Buggin' by The Flaming Lips. Walk in the Park by Beach House. Pow Ar Talk by Pink Floyd. I have no idea how you pronounce that. Ivan, it's on...
Not even gonna try.
Their first album, Piper at the Gates of Dawn, for the B-Sides playlist. And then just as a random throwaway, Naked as We Came by Iron and Wine, but it felt a little too gimmicky.
Hide and seek?
Get out of here. No, I refuse.
What you say? 1,000 miles? I went to a really like weird like early 2008 like early aughts like song place like Everywhere by Michelle Branch, You and I by Ingrid Michaelson, Chicago by Sufjan Stevens, Your New Twin Size Bed by Death Cab for Cutie, and Tire Swing by Kimya Dawson.
Kimya would be a good person for this.
Real weird energy.
I don't really have any B-sides this week. And it's not really like I thought I had one, but I don't really. It was going to be Deftones. It was really heavy. I knew how I felt about this. It was going to be heavy. I wasn't really sure if it was going to be like Circle Pit of Animals or if it was going to be like Raise the Seas kind of thing. It was going to be a little darker though. of a summoning. I'm glad that I picked the lighter of the ones and not the whales come up out of the sea and, I don't know, do stuff. Sharknado.
Well, Tyler, if people want to help you hang your clothes on the line outside of your woodland cottage, where can they do that?
Hey everybody, you can find my design illustration work at rootpets.club, and as always, you can find me on the socials as Rootpets Club, Instagram, Twitter.
Sean, if they're ready to charge into battle behind you, where can they do that?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at TallySean.
And if you want to relax in a wooded glen with me, you can find me on the socials as at TC Olmstead. All of these songs will be on the official No Repeat podcast playlist, and all of our B-sides will be on the unofficial B-sides playlist maintained by Super Deluxe Edition podcast pal Ivan Glasgow. And we'll be back next week with another episode of No Repeat.